There is a moment when you realize you don't need things to come together. Not because they already have, but because life keeps moving even when they don't. This episode is about that realization, about what it feels like to let things remain unfinished without feeling incomplete. Earlier in life, unfinished things often carried weight. Unfinished conversations, unfinished plans, unfinished understanding. They felt like loose ends that needed tying, like something was being withheld until completion arrived. And for a long time, that way of relating made sense. Completion offered relief. It gave a sense of safety. It helped define where you stood. But as awareness settles into life, something shifts. You begin to see that most of life is unfinished by nature. Moments don't conclude neatly. Feelings don't always resolve. Understanding doesn't always land. And yet, life continues. Letting things remain unfinished doesn't mean giving up. It means no longer postponing life until everything makes sense. You don't wait to feel complete before you move. You move, and completeness is no longer the requirement. This often becomes clear in very simple situations. You leave a conversation without clarity. You make a decision without certainty. You feel something deeply without naming it. And instead of tension, there's space. Earlier, uncertainty often felt uncomfortable because it was treated as a problem. Something missing. Something that needed attention. Now, uncertainty is allowed to be present without being fixed. It's not an obstacle. It's just part of the moment. Letting things remain unfinished also changes how memory works. The past no longer needs revisiting in order to be improved. You don't need to rewrite it. You don't need to extract meaning. It happened. It shaped you. And it doesn't require completion. This doesn't erase regret. Regret may still appear, but it doesn't dominate. It doesn't define the present moment. It's felt, and then life continues. The same is true for identity. Earlier, there may have been a desire to know who you are now, to define yourself after change, to explain what shifted. Now, identity is allowed to stay open. You don't need a finished version of yourself to live honestly. Letting things remain unfinished also affects how you relate to goals. Goals can exist without becoming conditions for worth. You can work towards something without needing it to complete you. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, life still unfolds. This doesn't make you unmotivated. It makes motivation lighter. You act because something matters, not because you need resolution. One of the quiet reliefs in this stage is realizing you don't need closure to move forward. Closure is often a mental construct. Life doesn't wait for it. You may notice that emotions no longer demand completion. Sadness can be felt without needing to become acceptance. Anger can arise without needing justification. Joy can appear without needing permanence. They don't need to finish. They move as they move. Earlier, there may have been a tendency to work through emotions, to process them, to bring them to an endpoint. Now, emotions are trusted to move on their own. You don't interfere. And because you don't interfere, they don't linger as long. Letting things remain unfinished also changes how you listen. You don't listen for resolution. You listen for what's being said now. Not to fix it, not to conclude it, just to hear it. This can feel unfamiliar in a world that values answers. But presence doesn't require answers. It requires availability. Another shift is how silence is experienced. Silence no longer feels like an absence. It feels like space where nothing needs to happen. No filling, no direction, just room. Letting things remain unfinished also means letting life be uneven. Some days feel settled, others don't. You don't rush to correct the imbalance. You let the rhythm play out. This stage doesn't eliminate discomfort, but it removes the extra layer of resistance. You're no longer fighting the fact that things aren't resolved. You're simply living within that reality. There is a kind of maturity here that isn't based on knowing. It's based on tolerance. Tolerance for ambiguity. Tolerance for open-endedness. Tolerance for being in the middle without rushing to the end. This tolerance doesn't feel like effort. It feels like acceptance without commentary. You may notice that you stop asking, "When will this be done?" Not because you've answered the question, but because the question no longer governs your attention. Letting things remain unfinished also affects how you relate to others. You don't need relationships to be perfectly defined. You don't need every tension resolved. You allow connection to exist as it is. Some relationships deepen, some stay light, some drift. You don't force conclusions. This doesn't mean you avoid difficult conversations. If something needs addressing, it's addressed. But the outcome isn't controlled. You speak honestly and allow the rest to unfold. One of the subtle freedoms here is realizing that meaning doesn't have to be finalized. Life doesn't need a final interpretation. You don't need to know what everything adds up to. You live it, and that's enough. Letting things remain unfinished also changes how you experience time. You're less concerned with milestones, less concerned with progress markers. You notice the day as it moves. You participate. This doesn't make life directionless. It makes it responsive. Direction emerges from context, not from plans layered over reality. There is often a quiet trust that develops here. Not trust that things will work out. Trust that you can meet whatever arises. And that's a different kind of trust. This stage may feel subtle. So subtle that you wonder if anything has changed at all. But then you notice how little you're pushing now, how little you're bracing, how often you're simply allowing. Letting things remain unfinished doesn't mean you don't care. It means care isn't fused with control. You can care deeply without needing an ending. You don't need to remember this. You don't need to apply it. If it resonates, you'll notice it in your own life. If it doesn't, nothing is missing. Life doesn't wait to be finished before it continues. And neither do you. If this felt familiar, you don't need to hold on to it. But if you'd like to stay connected, you're welcome to. Liking the video helps it reach others who may be learning that life doesn't need closure to be lived. And if these reflections support you as you allow things to remain open, you can subscribe, not to follow a path, but to keep the door open. And if someone you care about has been waiting for answers before moving forward, you're welcome to share this with them. Only if it feels natural. Sometimes the most honest way to live is to let things remain unfinished.